Mal McCallion has helped shape the UK's biggest portals, and now he's building something to replace them. In this episode, we unpack how the portal model lost its way, how AI will completely change how property is found, and what agents can do today to protect their brand, their fees, and their future in a post-portal world. Hope you enjoy the podcast. If you're an estate agent that wants to stay ahead of the competition and to make more profits, then you need to talk to Iceberg Digital. Iceberg doesn't just sit alongside your CRM system, it replaces it. It's the UK's leading AI operating CRM system for estate agents, combining your CRM system, prospecting, marketing, website, and compliance all in one ecosystem. Your CRM system becomes fully automated, taking care of those repetitive tasks your team shouldn't be doing. Your prospecting runs 24/7, scanning the portals, capturing property addresses, matching them with your database, and sending them personal outreach faster than any human ever could. Your marketing is automatically written to match your tone of voice. Blogs, property descriptions, vendor updates, all done for you. And your website becomes AI driven, adapting to each visitor in real time and making your agency discoverable on Google and also on tools like ChatGPT. Agents across the UK are already using Iceberg to run a leaner, smarter, and more profitable business. Visit icebergdigital.co.uk and mention the Estate and Consultancy podcast when you book your demo to get an exclusive perk. Mal, a huge thank you for coming on the podcast today. It's not every day we have someone on the podcast who's got their own portal, so thank you for coming on.
Real pleasure. Really excited to be talking with you today, Chris. Thanks.
So let's jump straight into the portal side of things. So you've been in the center of property portals pretty much since the beginning by the sounds of it. So PrimeLocation, Zoopla. So over that time, what do you think portals originally got right? What do you think they were kind of doing correct from day one?
That's a really good question. So yeah, 25 years ago, I was part of the team that set up PrimeLocation. So as you say, it was right when so the internet had started, and everybody was starting to just feel their way around. It feels very similar to right now with AI, where people are kind of see this new technology come in, aren't really sure what it's going to be doing. But in terms of what I think portals and the technology got right back then, I think that this concept of aggregation, actually being able to search for any property that fulfills certain criteria was really the kind of the beating heart of the portals, and something that I think they have really helped consumers, home movers, to find their dream homes much better than the previous system, which was print. You kind of got the courier on a Thursday morning, flick through a small subset of properties that were available that were in there, and then had to kind of find your way around various different estate agents and try and source that property that way. Yeah, portals have been great, and the whole kind of search functionality has been something that I think consumers have benefited from for the last 25 years. Yes, I do think that it's now going to be superseded by this ability to naturally language search, to just talk about your life, and it will go away and find AI will go away and find the right property for you. But yeah, no, I think it's been I've been fortunate enough to be part of it for a long old time. But yeah, I think that the next few years are going to be even more exciting.
Yeah, it's funny you say about sort of not really knowing how to use the technology, because I remember when the Wed family first got the internet, and it was like, right, we've got the internet now, guys, and it's like, right, now what do we do? Do we just go to Google? Like there was really like a real pause, and kind of look back now, you're like, oh my god, there's so many opportunities. I could have bought like Nike.com, or I could have all these things that was
Absolutely.
it's always the hindsight. I feel like portals were kind of a bit like that. You kind of like, okay, everyone had their own sort of thing going on and papers and stuff. I mean, it makes so much sense to put it all together and just have one spot that people can go to and just see everything.
Yeah, exactly that is it. So as part of the tour that I'm doing at the moment, which is going around speaking to agents in 60 different locations, one of the slides has got our original PrimeLocation homepage from 2000, and basically it's just our logo. There's no search functionality or anything like that. It's just like, we are so proud of our logo. This is what everyone's come for, right? It's like, no, you need to actually be able to do something. But yeah, it is funny to look back. And like you say, there's going to be, we are going to be kicking ourselves in like 5-10 years time, because like, if only we'd have done that, that would have just like, absolutely blown the doors off. But yes, no, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm very much they're kind of waiting for the world's first billionaire to be self-made with AI, aren't they? Kind of like a guy or girl who just made a website and made an app, and it's suddenly as if by magic they've become a billionaire in like 3 days, and you think to yourself, damn it, I could have done that. So
Single person unicorn is
yeah,
what
absolutely,
what was aiming at. So yeah, no, it's not quite yet, but I think, as you say, it's coming, definitely.
excellent. So it's fair to say that if we fast forward to today, the portals have sort of become slightly more self-serving, I think is probably fair to say. At what point do you think they sort of lost their way slightly? Because obviously originally it was kind of like, bring it all together and it was a good thing to kind of, and it was kind of supporting agents. And then over the years, it's kind of become a little bit more self-serving. Do you think there's been kind of one area that sort of that's happened, or what sort of happened over time there?
So I think it is interesting, isn't it? Because when you kind of take, the system to its nth degree, then monopolistic activity kind of is at the summit, which is why we have a Competitions and Markets Authority, and why the market has to be regulated, because otherwise the strongest just kind of rise to the top and then start to take the mick a little bit. So I think what we've seen here is, and it's difficult to put them all in the same bucket. I think we have to kind of call it by its name, which is Rightmove. They have become so strong, and the default search. Just like Google is the default search, nobody really cares about Bing, bless it, but it does the same stuff. And Zoopla does the same stuff as Rightmove. But I don't know in the car industry who, apart from Auto Trader, is a portal. I've got no clue, because I'm not in that world. And many people who are looking at properties, and they don't do it very often, the only place they think of is Rightmove. So I think that, as if I had to point to one moment, actually, it was probably 2005. Now, 2005 was when PrimeLocation, which older viewers will remember, had an exclusivity clause. So if you were listing on PrimeLocation, it was agent owned. And if you were listing on PrimeLocation, then you could not list your property anywhere else. Right, so there was unique content within this portal. But then when it sold to the Daily Mail Group, 2005, that was when the Daily Mail went, well, we don't want to just like limit ourselves to just this lot. So we'll let them go off and do something and list anywhere. And then anybody can list on ours, and it'll all be kind of all fair game. And up until that point, Rightmove had really struggled in London and kind of the top end of the market. And then this just became, obviously, they then got access to everything else. So I think, and look, they've executed very well in those early stages. And that was all they needed to do. They didn't need to execute very well any other time, because once you've got them, network effects, lock it down, then nobody else can kind of come in and touch you. And look, we tried. I'm part of the team that launched Zoopla into the market in 2008-9, and we made some good strides. And it became a very good business, and sold for 2.2 billion in 2018. But it's the opportunity to actually really help agents, which was one of the key things, was actually if we are unable to curtail Rightmove, then it will just continue to increase its fees as it has done. And that's not good for anybody. It's not good for agents, obviously, because a lot of the money that they're making is going into this one location. It's not good for consumers, because Rightmove doesn't have to innovate. And as we've seen over the last particularly 10, 15 years, they haven't. And that now potentially is a problem for them, and which we can talk about in a bit. But yes, so it's bad for consumers, it's bad for agents. And I think it's bad for, suppliers to the industry and other partners within the industry as well, because they're starving as well, because Rightmove is just taking the money and shipping out to their shareholders. So, again, it's, to your point, there is almost this kind of natural flow. If something becomes so dominant, then that, as you say, self-interest, the willingness to look after its shareholders before its customers, does seem to be a sort of an end point. But yes, I think that the only thing that can possibly change that is a change in consumer behavior. Like that, changing consumer behavior, just like when the internet came along, is technology driven. So consumers changed back in 2000 to using portals, because portals were easy and simple and efficient. And I believe that consumers are going to change to AI, because it is simpler, efficient, and is going to save them time.
It's funny, isn't it? I always feel like in most markets, there's one big company that really sort of dominates it. And so around the corner from where I live, there's a car dealership. I quite like cars, so I talk to the guy who runs it on a fairly regular basis as I walk past. And his hate for Auto Trader, like that is a deep hate. Like he's on it. Don't get me wrong, he's on it. He pays a subscription every single month. And he probably pays a few, the equivalent of a premium listing, all this sort of stuff for it. But he's like, they are just like, they've got such a market share that everyone just goes to Auto Trader. If I'm not on it, I'm screwed. If I do go on it, I'm spending a fortune every single month. But what can I do? And I feel, let's see him. I'm like, that's like Rightmove. That's it.
It's exactly the same conversation, isn't it? It's really interesting. So, but I can't remember why I ended up looking at this, but the Auto Trader at the moment is having similar issues to Rightmove, in terms of actually now AI is surfacing cars as it's surfacing property from anywhere. It can see AI can see everything. So actually, you can start to natural language search on ChatGPT, and that's having a real threat to some of the more established portals. So the Auto Trader CEO, they've tried to lock in all of this content. So they've tried to make the dealers force them to list on Auto Trader because they were starting to leak. People were starting to go, well, actually, if I don't have to, then I don't want to. So actually, I can save myself some money as well. And that's what Rightmove's facing too. But yeah, the CEO like said, so the Auto Trader tried to lock all of the dealers in with this particular thing, and all the dealers had basically thrown their toys out the pram and gone, right, we're all going to come off. And then he was on a video, almost like not quite pleading with them, but almost pleading with them to like to not to understand better what he was trying to do and how it was all going to be good for them and all that sort of stuff. And I just thought it's probably not too long away that we'll see something similar from some of the portals.
How did we end up in a position where we've got one or two portals, obviously one big one and one not quite so big one, that have so much power in the industry? Because I see it all the time where people message me saying like, I'm starting a portal, or why is there not more portals, or why do I have to be on Rightmove, and do I have to be on Zoopla? How do we get to the point where there should be a good competition in the UK? How do we get to the point where Rightmove have sort of really dug their trench and then sort of twisting the screws on it as well? How have we got to that situation where there's not more competition out there for them to compete with?
So whenever something weird happens, I always try and like map it back to sort of human nature, right? There's got to be something innate in us that means that this situation has occurred, particularly if it's at scale. Like, this is countrywide. People are doing this, and every agent in Aberdeen is facing the same issue as Truro and Wrexham and everywhere else. And I think it's basically because, at heart, you might call it laziness, you might call it efficiency, but we as humans have always sought better, easier, cheaper, more effective ways of doing things. And it just so happens that with the dawn of the internet, it was much easier, as we've discussed, for people to find properties by going to a site where everything is on there. And they didn't really want to choose three. It was like, well, actually, far rather have one, just like with Google. It's like, I don't want to use Ask Jeeves for older customers, or Yahoo or whatever. I'm just going to just Google because it's better and I understand it more. It's familiar, and we build up these habits, and when we tell other people that this is really good, and then they kind of copy. So I think it's really human nature is kind of the very short answer to why we've ended up in this situation, is because essentially we've seen the best of that particular that sort of style, that sort of company, that sort of process, and that's been the best of the bunch at that particular moment in time between 2000 and 2006. And it's stuck because once you've got that habit, and again, human nature habits, then it's like, well, I just can't be bothered to kind of think of something else. So we'll just carry on doing it this way until something fundamental changes. And that again is what I mean about now AI is here, that actually people are going to be going, actually, why am I sitting there and just choosing filter, price, filter bedrooms, filter location, then going through, all of the featured properties that I don't really want to see, and then, not being able to find the sea view or, the outstanding school proximity and all that sort of stuff, which AI brings. So, yeah, I think it's human nature has got us to this point, but happily, I think human nature is going to get us out of it.
So what does AI fundamentally change about property search then? So you mentioned obviously human nature is kind of, let's take the route of least resistance, should we say? Not that we're all lazy, but efficient, as you said. Um, so how does AI do this? 'Cause it is at the point where, historically you had to go to a computer, you had to do a bit of typing, do a bit of clicking, do your price ranging, actually type in the town you're looking for. And it's just easier to lie on your sofa and go like, all right, Siri, find me a house in Slough for 400 grand sort of thing. Is it just that route of least resistance? Is that where AI is fundamentally going to change it?
I think there's kind of three things. Okay, so three things that are really interestingly different about what AI can do. I think the first thing it can do is it can actually see 100% of the market that is visible. Okay, so whereas look, I think Rightmove's got 85-90% or something of properties that are out there, which was the best to this point. So that's why everybody was there. But AI can see everything. So actually, if you go and do an agentic AI search, so choose agent mode on ChatGPT, and anybody listening, go and have a little play with this. Um, ChatGPT, there's a little plus button just down underneath the prompt box, click on that, click agent mode, and then just put in a search for anything. But do it like I want a property on the south coast of England between Brighton and Portsmouth, between 1 and 2 mil with sea views. I needed to be near a great school for my kids. I wanted to also have nature reserves nearby, and also we love ballroom dancing. What can you find? Okay, and it will, and then press go, and it will go, and you'll see it actually going to all the different agent websites. Going all the way around. It will have a little look at portals as well, but it doesn't tend to bring back the results from the portals, particularly not Rightmove, because I think Rightmove is actually blocking it. Slightly different point. But yes, so being able to see all of that market is like mind blowing. To actually know that actually this is really going to do this on my behalf, and doing the research side of things. Finding going onto Ofsted and finding outstanding schools, and then finding the properties that near the outstanding schools, and then does this actually have a sea view as well, and knitting all that information together. That is going to be huge. Okay, so the 100% of the market, the fact that you can describe this any way you like. To talk about sea views in combination with ballroom dancing is, you know, nobody's ever, no, nobody's done it previously because it was impossible. But now I can genuinely find my dream home. And that, I think, when people realize that, it's going to blow their minds. And I think that, from just that one thing, let alone the fact that that is also, it will search the 100% of the market. And then the third thing is voice. Actually the interface. Now, again, to our point about human nature, we speak 3 times faster on average than we type. So again, we will default in the end, and I would suggest it's probably in the next 2 years or so, to just talking. And the typing away and things like that is actually going to start to disappear, almost as a kind of skill, because we're not going to have to. And I think that that's going to be three things I think it's for AI. One is access to 100% of the market. Two is the ability to articulate your life, and for it to bring back results that are based on that. And then the third is the interface, the actual voice side of things. That those three together, I think, are super powerful reasons why people will be searching using AI rather than through filters in future.
It's funny about the voice thing because I'd say ahead of the bell curve on that side. Luckily, I'm quite a quick talker as well, so I think I'm probably 4 times quicker than I can type with regard to the tech side. So for me, if you get an email from myself that is more than a line long, it's probably been through ChatGPT and it's probably been written for me, sort of thing, with me talking to it. If you get a text message from me, it's probably an emoji or it's a voice note because typing now feels like a Stone Age man. I feel like I might as well just get my club out my cave and hit my laptop with it because I'm like typing. Guys, it was very slow, it was very sort of like primeval sort of thing. So I think to myself, as you go through that, I think people can get more and more sort of used to that over time. And my partner used to take the piss out of me royally for using ChatGPT and just talking to ChatGPT and like, what's this and what we doing this weekend and where's a good place to get lunch, all this sort of stuff. And now every time I go downstairs and they walk in her office, she's chatting to ChatGPT and can you do this and can you find that and can you search this me sort of thing. So I think it's one of the things that once people try it, they're like, "Oh my god, where has this been all my life?"
At 100%. And yeah, like you, my kids would always take the piss of me, like eye rolling, almost out of their heads, like, oh God, he's off again. And now it's like actually they're kind of, getting really, really into it. And it's just so natural. And even with, you're in the car or, you're out on a dog walk, whatever it is, just that ability to keep things going, and you're probably the same, got projects set up within ChatGPT. So again, for those listening, you can set up little projects that have certain information in them, that have documents and all that sort of stuff. And you can go back to those projects. So for example, if you are, I don't know, building a portal, and then you can talk to ChatGPT about that particular project, and it will remember what you spoke about last time and what the ideas are. And you can just keep bringing these things forward. So it is, it's phenomenal. And, and as you say, as people slowly get into it and kind of realize the power of it, then they stop taking the mick out of you and actually start using it themselves.
So you've talked historically about the portals sort of being built as sort of the gatekeepers of information. So I guess AI sort of knocks that down or removes that sort of gatekeeping part of it, I guess?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? So over time, the amount of information that is available for people in their property move has increased significantly. And I remember when we set up Zoopla, we created the first AVM, the first automated valuation model, which was copied very clearly from Zillow over in the States. And basically, that was using publicly available data and bringing it to people and giving them and again, listeners out there will know it's a broadly rough idea of what their property's worth, depending on how unique the property is. It would depend on how confident we were about it. And yeah, I speak to agents all the time who, still were not particularly thrilled by that particular eventuality coming to pass. But that information is stuff that came out into the market and was available through land registry, and but we brought it to the masses. And I think, and even now over time you can see, I think it's Zoopla, one of them, you can see how many visits to a particular property is there, and price changes and all this sort of stuff. So I think that making that data available has been, I think Zupa's really kind of led the charge on that. Right move was sort of a bit laggard, but yeah, as discussed, that's a lot to do with the innovation side. So I don't think they're necessarily gatekeeping it from the world, as in that they were presenting out. They had to go to their sites to find it. But yeah, to your point, now you can ask ChatGPT sitting in your car, and it will go and find the information and bring it to you. So I think we are going to see a lot more of the challenges, frankly, that estate agents and letting agents have had over time, which is really well informed buyers and tenants. And actually the fact that they are going to use that information, to the point I've even seen ones where people are asking the AI, I'm going to a viewing, this is the property, what do you think is going to be wrong with it? Or what should I ask the agent? Or what do you think? Blah, blah, blah. Or how can I even decrease the rent? What should I be negotiating on? And that this is stuff that we're all going to be facing, and we may use it ourselves in car showrooms and stuff. But it's going to be quite an interesting dynamic now, I think, because intelligence is going to be everywhere. And this to me is the real kind of, wow, because, just like electricity, if you go back, I don't know, 1800s, whatever, and, there were candles everywhere, lamp lighters, all that sort of stuff. And then now electricity's everywhere. We don't even think about it. Intelligence is going to be everywhere. It's going to be so cheap because they're building out all these data centers all the way across the world. It's already, I think 390 times cheaper than it was 3 years ago. And it's just going down, and the competition is getting even more fierce. So yeah, this is not a bug. This is a feature, and I think we're all going to have to make sure that what we know about our areas, what we know about our properties, what we know about our services is so good, and so informative and so helpful, and the expertise that we are bringing to this particular conversation is really, 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 really powerful. So yeah, I think it's going to be, it will drive a democratization of data, I think. But certainly, I think that will help the best agents to win as well.
So I think it's probably the next chapter of I don't know. I don't say human intelligence. That sounds a bit deep. But I think, like, with regard to the sharing of information, like, if you go back, I don't know, 50, 60, 100 years ago sort of thing, you read the newspaper, and if it wasn't in the newspaper, then you were stuffed sort of thing. And I think then obviously the internet came along, and you kind of like, you can look around and go on some forums and stuff like that. And then obviously things like YouTube got quite big. So therefore you can watch video content with regard to, what you should do and what you shouldn't do sort of thing. Now, as you correctly say, I could be in offer negotiation with someone and be like, they've come back with 275. What should I go back with? What should I say? Or what's the questions I should be asking on this viewing? Or how do I get the price down? Or, what should I be avoiding about this local area? Is it a flood risk and so and so? And it just makes the person so knowledgeable so quickly with such little action on their side. Literally just, what do I need to know about this? And they're off, and they seem like the most intelligent person in the world because they can look at their phone 10 seconds later.
Yeah, 100%. And then, but what agents are going to be doing then is saying, right, somebody's coming at me with an offer of 250 on this 5,000 hours. What should I be saying to make sure that we can say, and and obviously a lot of that will be skill set anyway. But yeah, I think we are going to be much more focused around the relationship side of things. The actual factual stuff or the data stuff. Almost we're not going to have to remember it because we've always got it on tap. And it's interesting. On a personal level already, I find myself, kind of almost just like, oh, I don't even have to remember that. So my memory is already starting. In fact, maybe it's just age, but I'm already starting to go. I would have remembered that before, but now I know that I can just ask a question into my phone, and it will come back with the answer. I don't even bother. And it's so funny.
Eventually, it's going to be computers negotiating with computers. It's a bit like when you go on LinkedIn and someone's written an AI post, and then someone's written an AI comment, and someone's written an AI reply back to that comment. And it's just like basically just computers talking to computers about stuff.
All right,
Yeah,
it's pointless fluff.
the never-ending circle. So let's talk about MyPorta because you got some really cool stuff going on. So, how is MyPorta different from the portals that we know already? So, how's it different from Rightmove, Zoopla, on the market? What's the different direction we're going in here?
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, look, so MyPorta, we're launching in March, and we've got something like 15% of the market already signed up to list. And at its heart, it is about this kind of this hyper personal journey that people go on when they're trying to find a property. All right. And if you go and go back to PrimeLocation, go back to Zoopla, a lot of the work that I've been involved with has been how do we help people to find their dream home, to live better lives by enabling them to actually, discover the right property for them. And I think, to your earlier question about the portals, they've probably been getting them 60, 70% of the way there, which is much better than the newspapers, which probably got them about 40% of the way there. So now what we're doing with MyPorta is those three things that I spoke about earlier. You can, just using your voice, talk into MyPorta, and MyPorta will chat back to you. You can change its voice if you like, and to do whatever, and change its accent, and it will talk back to you. And you can ask it to clarify things. You can ask it how far properties are away from train stations and pubs, all the important stuff. And it feels like this kind of personal assistant that is helping you to find your dream home. And we think that that means that, yes, perhaps people will will have a narrower start point. So, that instead of it being, if you filter with three options, then you get loads of featured properties back that you don't care about and others. This you might start with three properties that are actually sea view, ballroom dancing, whatever. Um, but then the AI will say to you, look, well, actually, do you want to have a bit of a wider search because there's actually a really nice property about 4 miles away from there that it is really good from the ballroom dancing point of view, but doesn't quite have the sea view. But then if you go to the end of the street, you can see it, whatever that is. So it's really understanding and feeling like this hyper personal journey. Um, and again, you can do it by voice. You can get access to everything that's on the market, and you can also just talk around what really is important to you. And I think that, to me, is an important thing to do. Again, I think that there are a lot of people living in suboptimal houses, basically, because they've settled for something, even though actually the house three doors up was also available and better and blah blah blah. So I think for me that's the kind of that's the mission. And yes, what we're doing is building out this portal that is super fun to use. People can also go onto it and can decorate. All right, so you can click on an image. You can actually then say, can I see this in a farmhouse style? You can also actually take a photo of your own kitchen table or sofa and put that in the scene. And then you can also look at a library of different furniture from various retailers and put them in the scene and actually then click and buy. So it becomes a kind of e-commerce platform and lives with you as you live in the house. So it's really fun. And I've got a great team working with me on it as well. And yeah, it's just something that I think is going to be a really important addition to people's property journey.
And so where does it get its properties from? So does it go onto each agent's website individually and then sort of put them all together in front of you? So as you mentioned earlier that Rightmove were blocking the API for AI by the sounds of it. So does it not scrape portals? Does it just do individual agents' website? Where does it come from?
Yeah, we're not going anywhere near the other portals. We don't think that's the way to go. What we think is going to happen is that agents are going to get a lot more particular about whom they share their property content with, and I think that's absolutely the right direction of travel. I lose track of the number of estate agents I speak to who, say, well, it does seem a bit odd because we spend loads of money creating the content, videos and all that sort of stuff. And then we give it for free to Rightmove, who then charges through the nose for the privilege of showing it out there. So now that content that you are creating as an agent is going to be super valuable because, even if, let's say that in a year and a half, 2 years time. So we're free for agents to list, and free for agents to list. We make our money from the furniture sales and things like that. Free for agents to list. So if you run us alongside whatever you're doing for free, essentially what you start to see is the pickup in leads that are coming via AI because we're plugged into the various large language models, so the various AIs out there like ChatGPT, Gemini, and so on. And so the data sits on our site. Okay, so it will sit on our site. You can upload directly to our site via your CRMs, or you can authorize us to go onto your websites and get that data. It's less perfect doing it that way, but AI is amazing, so it can get the data now, um, and it pulls it all in. Okay, it pulls everything into to the website, and on our website you can do the decoration and stuff like that. If there is a property out there that is not that does not from a data partner or from a partner of ours, then it will just link off to it essentially. So it'll be a suboptimal experience. And actually, what we think is vendors, particularly, will look at that and go, "Well, I don't really want to be with an agent that's not actually listing it in this particular manner." Um, but again, it's free. So why wouldn't you? Um, but yes, so that's how we're getting the data. That's how we're making sure that it's got the coverage that it needs to have. But yes, it's yeah, we've had such a positive response from the agent community, and again, we're going out in January for this 60 location in 60 days tour of the country, and yeah, there will be a venue. We've calculated it up that there's a venue within about 40 minutes of 85% of agent branches. So that's the kind of that's why we're doing it
Hey,
that
well,
way.
you'll be knackered after that. I do about 4 conferences in a row, and I wanna go to sleep about 3 days. So the fact is 60 venues, 60 days, I think you'll be like, do a whole day and a half after that.
Yeah, do you know what? So I did it in the summer actually, and it was amazing. And the reason why we're doing it again is because it was such a such a good buzz to go out, talk to meet people where they are, and some of the stories you hear genuinely about like the people who've had to delay their mortgage payments in order to pay their right move fee because they need this property to sell to go through with this transaction to go through, and right move have said they're going to basically you're not going to be able to advertise all this sort of stuff. People sending their cars to pay it, you know the grip that this organization has on the industry is so extreme and extraordinary, and is not. It does not seek that there seems to be no end to it at this point, or there has been no end to it at this point. I think that is the real driver for me. And yes, even in those really tired days when I am down in Truro or up in Aberdeen, I will. Yeah, the fact that this is a really important job I think, will hopefully sustain me. And people who are where am I towards the end? I think I'm somewhere like, Canterbury is sort of like near my last stop. So, those coming to Canterbury will be able to see just how much older I look.
Well, when you're near the Winchester direction, you'll have to let me know, and I'll most definitely be coming on for that one. So, talk me through. So you mentioned there, you casually, nonchalantly dropped in there that it was free listings forever. Now that sounds like a big statement. So you're telling me that if I had an estate agency today and I wanted to upload my properties onto MyPorta in front of that audience, it's free.
It's free. It's free. You will never get an invoice from my porter as an agent. Okay, that is guaranteed. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One, obviously, is that we don't want you to have a reason not to list your properties with us. Okay, the property content is going to be so important in the future, and you're going to make some real active decisions as an agent about where you put it. So we don't want there to be a paywall there that actually makes you think, do you know what? Actually, maybe I won't list this property on there. It's like, no, it's free. Come on in. But the second piece is actually from the demand side. So consumers you've already seen it a little bit because OpenAI said that the makers of ChatGPT have started to trial adverts in ChatGPT over in the States at the moment. And Google has said categorically that within its Gemini large language model, which behaves like ChatGPT, um, that they're going to have adverts in there as well. And obviously, Google is all about adverts, right? So people are going to become really suspicious about why these results are coming to them. So, why is this property coming up rather than that? And with the portals, the featured properties and all that sort of stuff, everyone's kind of like got a bit, blasé and shoulder shrug about the fact that, yeah, I've got to go through all these ones and just see whether they're actually relevant or not. Um, Consumers are not going to trust a site that they don't know whether it charges or not. Whether the reason I'm seeing that particular property is because this particular agent has paid me more, paid my porter more for the privilege of that being hitting my eyeballs. So we're not going to anyway, but I would argue that we can't because in the world of AI, that the whole dynamics of those transactions changes significantly. And to get the supply and demand, we are a portal, we're a marketplace. We need the supply and we need the demand, and both of those things will fade away I believe, if you charge. And to take that into a wider context, that's why I believe the traditional paid for portals are in real trouble, because I don't think the consumers are going to accept being, force fed these featured properties and all that sort of stuff, and then go somewhere else and not have to do that. And similarly, I think that agents over time, because their vendors will start using AI, and so will stop talking about Rightmove. They're not going to sit there and keep going, are you on Rightmove because I need to put my property on Rightmove? It's like, I don't search that way anymore. So actually it's far less interesting and far less important. And that, I think, is where the kind of opportunity is going to come for agents to slowly just, over time, just take 10% off, of your properties. You don't list them all. And then take a few more off. And then when the rep comes round, you can have a different conversation about, value and so on. So yeah, I think that's to your point, that we are not charging and we will not charge, and that's done.
Yeah, it's funny because I've never really thought about it too much. Whenever I do a Google search these days, I'll scroll down the first quarter of the screen straight away, almost by default. I'll skip the first two, three, four things because I'll be like, they're paid for. Like they've just bunged a load of money over to Google. Can we appear first, sort of thing? The real top ranking is like the fourth one or fifth one, sort of thing. That's the one that's actually kind of, probably the 5 stars and whatever it may be. And I guess that's kind of ingrained in my head now. They're like, okay, these guys haven't deserved this necessarily. They're to kind of there to kind of sell themselves to me. So let's just skip that and get actually to the real result I actually want here.
Exactly that. So yeah, they haven't really earned it. Do you know what I mean? So it's not. And I think that this is the flip. It's not about what I want to see. Rightmove is not serving up really what you want to see, okay? Because it's only got these rather rigid filters, and then what it throws back at you is, after you've got through the adverts for agents in your area, then it goes into loads of featured properties into your eyeballs. And yeah, like you say, people are just so kind of like, all right, I'll just scroll through that one and ignore that featured property one and go to the natural one or the organic result rather than the sponsored ones. And it's just a bit of a waste of everybody's time, right? And particularly agents' money as well. Um, and yeah, you can argue that actually the big thing about that is instruction winning rather than necessarily getting more leads and so on. But again, I think that consumer behavior change driven by technology, which is what we're looking at right now, will mean that consumers are not as bothered about traditional portal visibility as they always have been.
So where is MyPorta up to now? Is it live? If someone's listening to this, can they go and visit MyPorta and have a play on it, or what stage are you up to?
So go to MyPorta, MyPorta.ai, and that's our kind of landing page. It's got a holding page there. It's got an advert. You can kind of see the sort of demo of what we're doing. You can also register for the tour that's coming up. So we're launching end of March. So it's going to be Q1 next year. But yeah, we've got we've made some great strides. I was chatting with it on Tuesday. So we're already in that kind of, we've got the properties, we understand how it's behaving, and it's getting its personality together as well. So yeah, no, it's growing, and it's super fun. But yeah, by March it's going to be out there. But between now and March, come along, say hello, and I'll be able to show you a bit more in the demos in the meetings.
So looking ahead even further, if we can see that far ahead in the future, how do you see the way people discover property evolving over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years?
I think that people are going to be, and I think this is true probably for everything, right? People are going to be so personal in what they're doing, and will expect that their personal traits, foibles, will be respected and will be adhered to. So they're not going to accept being force fed featured properties that I, as a portal, want to show you rather than the ones that you want to see. And they will be, I know promiscuous is probably the word. They will go and find it. They will go and find the site that actually allows them to behave as they wish, and to ask the questions that they want to ask, and get trusted answers from a source, a brand that has not, over time, been seen to treat them as kind of, essentially recipients of adverts and things like that. So I think that's going to be probably the big shift, is now that we will be incredibly almost selfish about expecting everything to be as we would want it to be. And I think that from the agent's perspective, so that's the demand side. I think from the supply side, I think what we're going to see is absolutely agents, when they take on properties and when they build out the content kind of portfolio for each listing, that they become really, really quite picky about where they deploy those. And the tech is going to be amazing, and in 3 5 years time, where you are already some AI, you can see round corners, right? It actually fills in the gaps, and kind of so you can almost just from photos build out videos, and it can have avatars of agents chatting away, and you can ask them questions about the property and all that sort of stuff. So there's going to be a lot of the technical stuff that's just going to keep building out. But I think fundamentally, demand is going to become much more focused around the individual, and supply is going to be much more focused around the property and its type and the uniqueness of that and where that can be served.
Amazing. Mate, you've been an absolutely amazing guest today. So interesting. You've got so much stuff going on. It's so good to see someone who, 'cause, you got any Facebook group, any property employed estate agency group, whatever it may be, everyone's like, bloody right move, bloody right move, bloody right move. No one ever really does anything about it. So what I'm really hoping, and I wouldn't normally do kind of a pitch for a guest sort of thing, but what I'm really hoping is everyone gets behind you in a big way. So I see probably zero downside to reaching out to Mal and looking at MyPorta.ai and getting involved with it. Is literally free to go on. Everyone complains about Rightmove. Everyone complains about how it stresses them out, how to block her, or how it just keeps them awake at night, paying all this money out to them. You literally have a solution that is free to do, that is going to be coming to your doorstep very soon around the country. So I would say to everyone wholeheartedly, reach out to Mal, go to my Porter and get involved with it, because if you don't, you've only got yourself to blame when your Rightmove bill turns up.
Amazing. Listen, thank you so much for that. And yeah, anybody out there who wants to chat about anything to do with any of this stuff, I'm really happy to get involved. So yeah, listen, and thanks to you, Chris. Really great to catch up, and really good to have
No,
the
well,
chat.
well, thank you for a brilliant guest, and we'll have you on in the future. See how you're getting on with it. Obviously, I think it's absolutely brilliant what you're doing. Thank you for being a fantastic guest today.
You're welcome. Thanks again.